What if your twin flame isn't meant to stay forever? Yeah, I know it is hard question, but it's the one that so many of us on the spiritual path have to face. You meet someone and it feels like your soul just know each other. It's intense, electric, like home. But then things starts falling apart, and not just in a messy breakup way, but in a soul shattering why is this happening kind of way. Now, here's the big question we are tackling today. How do you know when it's time to let go of your twin flame connection? Hey, beautiful souls, welcome back to Soul Alchemy by Shraddha, your safe space for all things spiritual, self growth, and twin flame magic. If you're watching this, maybe you're stuck in a cycle of running and chasing. Maybe you're emotionally drained but still holding on to hope. Or maybe deep down, a quiet part of you already knows it's time, but you just can't bring yourself to release them. This video isn't going to throw you a textbook definition of spiritual jargon. I want this to feel like a conversation. Like you called up a friend and said, I don't know what to do. And that friend replies, Hey, I've been here too. We'll dive into what twin flame connection really means beyond all the labels. We'll talk about the signs your soul might be giving you, those subtle nudges, and full on spiritual wake up calls. And yes, we'll talk about why it is so freaking painful to even think about letting go. Spoiler alert, it's not because you're weak, it's because you are human and you're growing. Most importantly, we are going to talk about what happens when you do choose to release, because that's where the magic starts to unfold. That's where you start to come home to yourself. And no, this isn't about forgetting them or pretending it never mattered. It did, it does. But sometimes love shows up to teach us, not to stay. So, if your heart is aching or your mind is looping with questions, I hope this video gives you some clarity, comfort, and strength. You're not alone. Let's talk about it. What is twin flame connection really? Before we talk about letting go, we need to really understand what twin flame connection is, and most importantly, what it isn't. Because let's be real, the term twin flame gets thrown around a lot, especially online, and not always in the most grounded way. At its core, a twin flame is said to be your soul's mirror, not your other half. You are already whole on your own. But someone who reflects your deepest truths, your shadows, your lights, and everything in between, it's intense because it's supposed to be. This kind of connection is meant to wake you up on the soul level. When you meet your twin flame, it's not always sunshine and fairy tales. It's deep, it's triggering. It can be euphoric one moment and completely devastating the next. And it's because the purpose of this bond is transformation, not comfort. A lot of people confuse twin flames with soulmates. And while soulmates usually come into our lives to bring love, safety, and growth in a more stable way, twin flames often show up to stir the pot, to shake things up, to push you towards healing what you've been avoiding. So, no, it's not always romantic. Some twin flame connections are platonic, others are fleeting, and some never make it to physical union. But that doesn't mean that the connection was any less real or significant. Now, here's where things get tricky. Society has trained us to believe that love equals staying, that if something feels big and beautiful and soul shaking, it must mean that we are meant to hold on forever. But twin flame connections don't always work like that. Sometimes your twin flames enter your life for a specific reason, a season of growth, awakening, and change. And once their role in your journey is complete, clinging to them can actually block your next level of expansion. This is where the suffering starts because we are trying to hold on to a chapter that was only meant to be for few pages long. Let me be clear, the connection is always real, but that doesn't mean that the relation is always meant to last. And recognizing this doesn't make the love less sacred. It makes it even more meaningful because instead of trying to possess it, you honor it for what it taught you. And trust me, this realization doesn't come easy, especially when the feelings are still alive, when the memories are still vivid, when part of you still checks your phone hoping they'll reach out. But understanding the true purpose of this connection helps you start to shift from clinging to evolving. You start to realize that love isn't just about proximity, it's about presence, about resonance. Sometimes someone can be physically gone, but still teaching you through their absence. Sometimes the silence speaks the loudest lessons. When I was buried under the heartbreak of walking away from my twin flame, I felt completely lost. But in that darkness, my angels guided me towards ayahuasca. That is exactly what I needed at that point. What followed was a soul cleansing journey full of tears, love, and undeniable truth. During that sacred experience, Mother Ayahuasca showed me something I'll never forget. She showed me that twin flame aren't the destination, they are the catalyst. They awaken us, they crack us open, but they are not always meant to stay. Of course, every journey is unique, but what I have learned is that it all begins with one brave step, that is, letting go. They are the match that lights the fire, not the fireplace you're meant to live in forever. They awaken parts of you you didn't even know existed. They call forth your wounds, yes, but also your gifts. Your intuitions sharpen, your empathy deepens. You may even start your own healing journey, your spiritual awakening, your purpose work, all because they entered your life. And that is so powerful. The pain you feel, it's valid. The connection you felt is also valid. But sometimes the highest act of love is letting go with grace, releasing not in anger or resentment, but in gratitude, like saying, thank you for showing up. Thank you for the lessons. I'll carry the growth, but I won't carry the attachment anymore. Understanding all of this doesn't ease the ache immediately, but it does offer a new lens, a lens that empowers you instead of trapping you, a lens that reminds you your healing isn't dependent on whether they come back. Your peace doesn't wait for their apology. So, if you're in that place of wondering what this connection really is meant to be, I hope this gave you some clarity. Because when you understand the purpose, the process becomes just a bit more bearable and lot more beautiful. Let's get honest for a second. Holding on to a twin flame connection can feel like trying to catch smoke. It's beautiful, mysterious, but also slippery and hard to grasp. There comes a point in the journey where you have to ask yourself, is this helping me grow or is it slowly breaking me down? That's where we start looking for signs. And not just surface level signs, but soul level signals that your spirit is ready to move forward. Sign number one, you're emotionally exhausted more often than you are inspired. All relationship goes through ups and downs, but when the connection leaves you feeling drained 90% of the time, that's not spiritual. It becomes toxic. If every interaction feels like emotional whiplash, or if you find yourself constantly recovering from the highs and lows, your energy might be telling you it's time to let go. You shouldn't have to crawl your way through heartbreak every time just to keep someone in your life. You're stuck in repeating pattern that doesn't evolve. Twin flames can trigger intense healing cycles, but healing has motions. It's supposed to transform you. If you keep looping through the same argument, same miscommunication, same breakups and reconciliation with no forward movement, it might be a karmic cycle, not divine destiny. Love shouldn't feel like deja vu that never ends. Repetition without reflection keeps us spiritually stuck. You have lost connection with yourself. This one hits hard because the irony of the twin flame love is that it's meant to bring you back to yourself. But when the relationship becomes all consuming, when you stop doing things that you used to love, when your happiness becomes dependent on their presence or attention, you're no longer in alignment. You're outsourcing your peace. If your identity starts fading just to hold on to theirs, that's a red flag. Your intuition whispers it's time, but you keep ignoring it. Maybe it's the quiet voice at night. Maybe it's the knot in your stomach after every interaction. Maybe it's just this deep, subtle sadness that never goes away. And we have all been guilty of muting that voice because we are afraid of the grief that comes with listening. But truth doesn't go away just because you're ignoring it. Real growth comes when we stop fearing the message and start listening to it. You're not growing anymore. Remember, the purpose of Twin Flame is spiritual evolution. If your life has become a waiting game, waiting for them to change, to choose you, to wake up, and then your growth is on pause, that's a red flag. Growth should feel like expansion, even when it's painful. But if you're stuck in a holding pattern, That's your cue. Love should make you feel alive, not frozen in time. You feel like you've already said goodbye, emotionally, spiritually, maybe even in your dreams. Sometimes the soul starts letting go before the mind does. You might notice that dreams with them feels like closure, or you've started seeing life beyond the connection, even if part of you still misses it. This means your higher self is gently guiding you to forward. It's not cold, it's clarity. That distance you feel is your spirit starting to breathe again. You're afraid to let go because of what it might mean. This might sound backwards, but stay with me. Fear of letting go can be the sign it's time. If you're clinging out of fear, fear of being alone, fear of no one else will understand you like they did, fear of never feeling the intensity again, then the connection has become your security blanket, not a secret mirror. And fear is never a healthy reason to stay. Real love doesn't use fear as currency. And here's something we don't talk about enough. Sometimes letting go just isn't about them, it's about the version of you that you become in this connection. The version who tolerated the silence, who stayed up night after night trying to decode mixed signals and spiritual signs. Releasing your twin flame is also about reclaiming the life you lost while waiting to be chosen. And I get it. Letting go can feel like a failure. Like maybe you didn't love enough, or heal enough, or fight hard enough. But none of that is true. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is to release with an open heart, to say, I love you, and I'm choosing myself anyway. Because love, real love, should never require you to abandon your soul. And if you're waiting for a cosmic green light to move on, this might be it. Not because someone said so, because deep down you already know. You know you deserve peace. You know you're meant for more than limbo. And you know that this pain was never meant to be your home. So here's a gentle truth to hold on to. Releasing your twin flame isn't the end of love, it's an evolution of it. It's transforming it into something softer, freer, and something that doesn't keep you hostage. Love isn't always about holding on. Sometimes it's about letting go with grace and letting yourself bloom again. Letting go of twin flame isn't just hard, it can almost feel like it's impossible. Not because you're weak, not because you're dramatic, but because this connection taps into something so deep that even thinking about it feels like a betrayal to your soul. So, why is it so hard to walk away? Because of the energetic bond that is unbreakable. Twin flame connections are often described as energetic cords that binds you to your soul level. You might feel their energy without speaking, dream about them, sense their emotions as if they are your own. That's not just chemistry, that's soul entanglement. Letting go feels like ripping your own heart out, and it's not them you're separating from, it's a version of you that was activated by their presence. But just because this bond is real doesn't mean it's meant to last forever. Sometimes it's there to teach you something profound and then let you go live it. The forever illusion. When you meet your twin flame, it often feels like this is it. Like all the signs led here. You start building mental timelines, envisioning lifetimes, scripting the future. So when the connection begins to crumble or fade, it's not just love you're grieving, it's the future you thought was guaranteed. Breaking that illusion can feel like breaking a sacred promise, but what you are actually breaking is an expectation that may never have been aligned with your highest path. The depth was real, so why does it has to end? This part hurts the most because the love was real, the magic was real. No one's denying that. So the mind fights back. It was real. How can I let it go? But here's the deeper truth. Just because something is real doesn't mean it's right for you now. A flower can be beautiful, but still it does not belong in your garden forever. You can honor the connection without clinging to it. Fear of never feeling that again. This one is sneaky. There's a part of you that wonders, what if I never feel this again? The intensity, the recognition, the spiritual depth, it's rare and you know it. But here's the truth, you're not afraid of losing them, you're afraid of losing that feeling. And guess what? That feeling came through them, agreed, but it lives inside you. It was awakened by the mirror, but it was yours all along. You're not losing magic, you're rediscovering it in yourself. The ego wants the closure that may never come. Our egos are obsessed with stories that have clean endings. We want apologies, clarity, conversations that tie it all up in a bow. And when we don't get that, we keep the doors cracked open just in case. But not every soul contract comes with closure. Choosing to stop bleeding for someone who never brought you bandages. Sometimes the closure is you. Finally, choosing silence over what ifs. The twin flame labels becomes an identity. This one is so tough, but it needs to be said. The twin flame label can become a trap. It gives meaning to the chaos. It validates the pain, but it can also keep us stuck because we start believing that this is only love that will ever matter. You start to think like, if I let this go, who even I am without it? But love is not meant to cage you in identity. It means to expand you in your fullest self. If the label has become a prison, it might be time to let it go too. We romanticize suffering. This is a big one. Sometimes we confuse suffering for depth. If it hurts this much, we think it must be real. If I am crying every night, it must mean something sacred. But pain isn't a proof of love, it's proof of attachment. True love might stretch you, but it won't shred you. If the connection only thrives in chaos, it might be trauma bonding, not twin flame union. You don't need to suffer to prove your devotion. And here's another layer. Letting go makes you face yourself. In many ways, the twin flame journey is a detour into yourself. But when they leave, suddenly there is no distraction, no text to wait for, no energy to tune into. Just you and your reflection. That's where the real work begins. And that's why it feels so raw. Because now it's your pain, your healing, your silence, your soul. And you can choose to stay with you. Letting go also forces you to rewrite your beliefs around love. We were taught that love is meant to last, that the strongest connections stay. But what if real love shows up to teach not to stay? What if its entire purpose is to awaken you and then to exit? It doesn't make it any less divine. In fact, maybe that's what makes it sacred. You see, letting go isn't about forgetting. It's not about pretending it didn't happen or stuffing down the feelings. It's about transmuting the love into something higher, something lighter, something that doesn't burn you every time you reach for it. Because when you release them, you're also releasing the parts of yourself that thought you couldn't survive without them. And spoiler alert, you can. You're here. You're healing. You're growing. That's strength. That's courage. Why is it so hard to let go? Because you loved with your whole being. Because you were cracked open in the most intimate way. Because this was never just about romance, it was about your soul. And that kind of journey doesn't end easily, but it does evolve. So let it be. What happens when you release them? So you finally let go. Maybe it was quiet, maybe it was messy, maybe you still replay the moments in your mind. Either way, you did it. You chose your peace over your attachment, your healing over the illusions of forever. But what happens after? Let's talk about it because the aftermath of letting go is its own sacred journey, one that doesn't get enough credit on how deeply it changes you. The emotional detox. At first, it might feel like everything's crashing. You might cry out of nowhere, feel exhausted, question your decisions over and over again, and that's not regression, it's a purge. Think of it like a soul detox. All that pain, hope, confusion, expectation, it has to leave your system. You're no longer carrying someone else's energy, but your body needs time to recalibrate. Be gentle here. Drink water, take naps, journal. You're healing cellular memory, not just emotions. This phase hurts, but it clears the path. The quiet starts to feel like peace. At first, silence might feel like abandonment. You'll check your phone, you'll miss the chaos strangely enough, but then something begins to shift. One day you'll wake up and notice you feel lighter. The quiet no longer screams, it holds you. This is what peace feels like. Not an absence of emotion, but the return of your center. The stillness isn't empty, it's sacred. Your energy starts coming back home. Releasing a twin flame is like calling your energy back from someone else's orbit. You didn't even realize how much of yourself you gave away until you start to feel whole again. You might find yourself laughing randomly, wanting to create again, feeling curious about life. These moments are not coincidence. They are signs that your spirit is expanding into the space they left behind. You're coming back to yourself. You begin to redefine love. Once the fog lifts, something incredible starts happening. You begin to understand that love isn't just intensity or spiritual firework. Love is also safety, consistency, kindness. You begin to crave emotional regulation instead of emotional roller coasters. You begin to trust that real love won't confuse you, ghost you, or make you question your worth. And that realization, it's a breakthrough. You start to rewrite the story, not just about them, but about you. Unexpected blessing starts to appear. It always happens, often in the most surprising way. A new opportunity, a new friendship, a creative spark, a quiet knowing that you're finally on the right path. When you release something that isn't aligned, you create room for what is. The universe loves that. It rushes in with synchronicities and signs to remind you you're not being punished, you're being prepared. And no, it's not instant. But the moment you realize the truth, not just physically but emotionally and energetically, the shift begins. You start attracting from your healed energy, not your wounded one. The love doesn't die, it transforms. Here's a beautiful truth: letting go doesn't mean that love disappeared. It just moves to a different form. Sometimes it becomes gratitude, sometimes it becomes an art, sometimes it just becomes a part of your soul's landscape, a chapter that shaped you but no longer defines you. And sometimes you even send them love from afar, not because you want them back, but because you found your own peace. You stop needing closures, you become it. You realize the journey was always about you. This is the most liberating realization of all. It was really never about them. They were the triggers, the mirror, the spark. But the real journey, it was always about your evolution, your expansion, your return to wholeness. You realize that your worth isn't tied to being chosen, it's inherited. That love is something you are, not just something you chase. And in that space, something extraordinary happens. You fall in love with your own presence, with your own company, with your own soul. Here's what no one tells you: the most magical part of releasing your twin flame is discovering the version of yourself that was waiting on the other side. The version that doesn't beg for breadcrumbs. That version doesn't settle for confusion. That version knows their worth even in silence. That version of you is rising right now, even as you watch this. So take a deep breath, look in the mirror, and say to yourself, I let go and I grew wings. So you have realized it's time to let go, not from anger, not from bitterness, but from a deep, quiet knowing that your spirit is ready to move forward. Now comes the next question: how? Because letting go of a twin flame isn't like closing a chapter, it's like putting down a sacred book mid sentence. And that's why this part needs to be intentional, gentle, sacred. Here are some powerful ways to release your twin flame with love, peace, and starting from within. Honor the connection first. Before you let go, pause. Take a moment to honor what this connection meant to you. Light a candle, write a letter you don't send. Speak out loud to the energy of your connection. Say, thank you for waking me up. Thank you for the lessons. Thank you for the love. And release with peace doesn't mean pretending the bond wasn't real. It means love is enough to set it free. Journal the goodbye. One of the most powerful tools in this journey is writing. Write them a letter where you say everything you never got to say: your love, your grief, your truth, your boundaries. Let it pour out raw and unfiltered, and then burn it, bury it, or tear it up. Let it go in the physical so you can let it go energetically. This ritual tells your soul, we are done carrying this silently. We are ready to breathe again. Clear the energetic cords. Sometimes it's not the memory of them that haunts us, it's the energetic imprint they left. Do a cord cutting meditation. Visualize the invisible strings between you being gently snipped with love, not anger. Say, I release you from my energy. I return to myself. I'm free. Do it as many times as you need. Releasing is not a one time act, it's a daily devotion to your peace. Reclaim your power with affirmations. Use affirmations that remind you of who you are without them. I am whole on my own. I release what no longer serves my highest good. I trust the universe to bring me the love that aligns with my healing. Say them daily. Say them when you feel weak. Say them when you miss them. You're not brainwashing yourself, you're reprogramming the truth back into your bones. Shift from obsession to observation. It's easy to fall into habits of checking their social media, pulling cards about them, reading signs into every number or dreams. It's not bad, it's human. But it keeps your energy trapped. Instead, shift into the observer. Notice your cravings without feeding into them. Say, I see the urge and I choose my healing. Starve the obsession, feed the soul. Fill the void intentionally. Letting go creates a space, and spaces beg to be filled. So fill it with things that make you alive. Dance, meditate, cook, travel, create, journal, cry, laugh. Do what brings you back home to yourself. Make your life so full of you that you stop feeling the hole where they once lived. That's not avoidance, that's alignment. Connect with your higher self. Sometimes the pain lives in our human self, but the peace is already held by our higher selves. Close your eyes and imagine your higher self, glowing, grounded, loving, placing a hand on your shoulder and saying, you did it. You made it through. I'm proud of you. Speak to that version of you often. Let them lead. They have already seen the future and it's safe, it's beautiful, it's whole. Practice self forgiveness. You might carry guilt for staying too long, for loving too hard, for losing yourself in the process. Let me say this clearly. You didn't fail by loving someone deeply. You didn't mess up your path. You were learning, you were growing, you were becoming. Forgive yourself for not knowing what you know now. That's how you reclaim your power. Embrace non closure. This one is big. We don't always get clean closure. Some people leave without a final word. Some journeys just drift into silence, and that's okay. Closure doesn't come from them, it comes from you deciding that peace matters more than the answers. Say to yourself, I may not have closure from them, but I'm closing this chapter within me. That's maturity, that's healing. Trust that love will come again, but differently. The brain likes to say, you'll never love like that again, and you won't. But that's not the bad thing. Because the next love, it won't come to shake your soul. It will come to steady it. It won't confuse you. It will comfort you. It won't require you to shrink. It will help you grow. And most importantly, you'll meet it as a whole person, not a half looking to be completed. Letting go opens the door to love that doesn't burn, it warms. And finally, keep choosing you. Healing isn't linear. Some days you'll feel strong, others you'll spiral. That's okay. Just keep choosing yourself again and again and again. Every time you choose peace over chaos, presence over obsession, self love over sacrifice, you're building a life rooted in truth. And that is sacred. Letting go of your twin flame is not the end of your love story, it's the beginning of your love story with yourself. And in the end, that's the greatest love of all. So exhale, let the tears fall if they need to. And know deep in your bones, you're healing, you're rising, and your heart is learning to beat freely again. You are safe to let go, you are safe to move on, and you're safe to be free.